Hey guys, what's up? It's Dave. I am gonna do my weekly review of the markets so we can get prepped and be prepared for the upcoming week. So, firstly, I already have this organized. This is my sectors analysis scan. You can see I already have this organized by position and 5-day range, just like I always look at it. And so this is going to organize the names that I have in this list, all of the sectors. Where they closed, basically, who's closing the strongest, where we should keep our eyes out for. Okay, so that's what we'll be looking at. First, let's go to the Qs. As you can see, Qs closing at all-time highs. This is just continued to trend up nice. It likes to respect the 20 EMA. It chops around a little bit. Here we get a nice little 50 SMA tag, but this is just closing at the highs. And it's most likely probably because of XLK here. XLY, consumer discretionary. Let me grab some of my notes here. Sorry, pardon me. I'll give you a look at my armpit there. So some of the stronger sectors, XLY, you can see it's opening up, closing at higher all-time highs. Breaking this level hasn't really come down to retest it yet. It is getting a little extended away from that 10 EMA. This is a weekly chart, by the way. So just be mindful of that. But if we poke and look at the daily real quick, you can see we're getting a little bit of time correction and kind of letting that 10 EMA catch up, maybe. Maybe we'll get some selling into next week. Either way, this looks pretty healthy. If you can see, this did a nice little price correction, kind of flagged to the 10 EMA. And then it moved up, consolidated, came close. This is probably more so maybe the 10 EMA likes to hold. I don't have that on my chart, but it's a little bit quicker than the 10. Sorry, I think I said 10. Maybe it's like the 8, possibly even the 5 SMA that it likes to hold. It's just a little bit quicker than the 10. Either way, XLY looking pretty good. XLK, you notice here, we had an inside week. It's holding this breakout of the highs here. We have a little bit of volume, a little bit of bottoming tail of last week. If you want to look at the daily, so technology might be setting up for a run here. And if it does that, it's kind of hard to be super bearish on the overall market, especially with tech. I don't see how the market can be bearish with tech breaking to new all-time highs. So I would keep an eye out on tech names on XLK specifically. XLC, you can see on the daily, it's a nice grind right up at the 10 EMA. Looking at the weekly here, load up, kind of an indecision doji. So maybe this is a sign of XLK getting ready to maybe give a little pullback. There's a little fight going on there, right? Between sellers and buyers. So we'll just see. UNG, I'll skip over that. SPY, so this is the heavier weighted sector, right? So most of Meta, Tesla, Google, Google, all those names are heavier weighted in here. I'm going to go over those names shortly also. But you can see it just kind of inside week, chopping sideways, letting things kind of catch on up. Gold, we got a topping tail last week. It's at the 10 EMA. It is downtrending. However, it did break the highs of this prior week around, mid-November. So we'll see what happens there. XLF pulling back to the 10 EMA. XLP at the 10 EMA broke the downtrend line. Maybe they might be retesting it here. After chopping around the 20 EMA, we'll see if the 10 EMA holds. Let's look at what the daily looks like. I don't know. Daily, it's kind of chopping around here. It's hitting the 50 SMA. It's kind of sloppy. I'm not a huge fan of that look. XLU, underneath all the shorter term, failed to hold the 50 SMA. 200 SMA is all the way down here by 72. We want to look at the weekly. We'll see if it holds these highs. So this can be a breakout and a retest, but the thing is it's looking pretty weak in my opinion, especially just looking at the daily. And then you can see we made a new high, but it was a pretty weak new high. Like it barely broke it, and now it's just selling off all the way down to the end of this new range. So we'll see if we get some chop sideways or if it just falls all the way through. Just keep an eye on utilities. I suppose if you're longing them, you don't have wind at your back. XLV kind of retesting this 142 level here, this breakout. It's still downtrending, so that doesn't look too hot. Dow Jones coming up to the 10 EMA. We'll see if it holds. XLI close below the weekly 10 EMA. Next is the 20 EMA. We'll go real estate closing below the 20 EMA. Maybe this level. Let me see where that lines up. If we go there, maybe that holds up. This 4230 to 4190-ish zone level. You can see that's where the topping tail is. So maybe it just is going to chop sideways, consolidate here. It's not looking, I wouldn't sit on my hands with that and wait for some sort of direction to pursue it, to show itself. This kind of sucks that it broke out of these levels here, energy here. It broke out of these, and it failed to hold even on the retest. And so we'll see if it wants to come all the way back down to this 87. It's on volume. It's closing at its weekly lows. Not looking too hot for energy. RSP, this is what I was talking about in my trades. So it's at the 10 EMA, weekly EMA that is, but I'm sitting here last week initiating new long trades while this chart looks like this. So it's been down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 red days in a row. And I'm pretty sure it's one time framing down to the close one might be this 12.6 may have broke the highs of 12.5. Either way, one time framing down, it's just selling. It's just selling. It's now at the 50 SMA, which is where price has respected before, back here in September, back here in November, and maybe late November, maybe now in mid-December. We'll see. But it is indeed, it's uptrending. Higher highs and higher lows. We'll see if this low, this 179 low holds. We'll see. But overall, it's at the 10. Typically, if this wants to continue, you can see it's respected the 10 in the past. Kind of chopped around, held the highs here, and now it's uptrending again. So this likes to respect the 10. You can see here, undercut it, reclaimed, respected it here, respected it here. We'll see what it does now. We'll see what it does now, especially with semis and whatnot. Oop, I don't know what I just did there. Kind of reporting earnings and all this talk about new leaders and stuff like that. IWM tagging the 10 EMA again. Hit supply at this area. This is the prior high. This is uptrending though. If you look at all the MAs, they're all pointing upwards. Higher highs and higher lows. It just broke out of this like ascending triangle looking pattern on the beginning of November. Now we're just getting some chop. Maybe this might be a failed breakout, so we could get a move down to this 227 and let the 20 EMA catch up. Or this creates a higher low and we push up to all-time highs. Overall, I don't see. Let's see what's XLB here. Failed to hold the highs, failing at the 50 SMA on the weekly. That's not the best look. Maybe we get a little bit of hold near. We'll see if we find a bottom and like consolidate somewhere around there. Maybe it tags this. I'm gonna delete that little rounding bottom thing because that's not a thing anymore. Maybe it holds that 87.50-ish level. We shall see. But this looks like a failed breakout to me. It failed to hold that retest and dipped pretty deep in there, and now it's just even past halfway. So not the best look. All right, let's go over ETFs real quick. And then I want to do something new. I want to look at the main, the weighted names of the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. All right, so SOX Semiconductors. Looking at the weekly, it's chopping. I don't know if this is going to be a bear flag and we all of a sudden just get some supply and it drops on down, or this could just be eating up this whole move here. It's at the 50 SMA. It's at the 20 and underneath, but at the 10 and 20 EMA right now. So I would just keep watching there. USO, oil fund, whatever. SMH, closing at the weeklies. Let's let it load. Come on, don't do that to me. There we go. Sorry. SMH, closing at the highs of the week, was not able to take out the low of this week. So we're ending with another bottoming tail. So this is just chopping sideways. It's respecting the 10 and 20 EMAs on the weekly, that is. XOP, KIE, KWeb, China. There's a lot of talk about China right now. Looks like it gapped up and just sold off. I still don't trust it, especially all these longer terms. I think it still needs some time to maybe chop sideways. FXI. It's just so gappy. A lot of people are talking about Baba and JD and all those China names. This could be the turnaround, but I made my choice not to trade them for now. XRT. That's just consolidating sideways there on the daily. It'll look similar on, come on now, the weekly there. Holding the breakout though. Let's see. Let's look at TAN. TAN continues to get smacked. I wouldn't touch any of those names with a 10-foot pole. Jets is looking pretty decent inside week. We'll see, what it wants to do coming next week. But overall, trend is still up. It's at the 10 EMA. Ooh, it failed to break those highs there. So we'll see if we start to get some chop sideways or some consolidation. Ideally, we would like to see those highs hold. Maybe it chops around here, lets that 20 EMA catch up. Maybe we get a bounce on Monday because it's at the 10 EMA right now. We shall see. LIT, I'd keep a name on this. This is just consolidating sideways, but lithium names could potentially be strong. Let's take a look at the weekly real quick. It's still downtrending, but this is a nice push off. Maybe once it breaks these highs, it's having a hard time holding that. So maybe, if we get over that, we can start actually trending upwards. But until then, I'll be sitting on my hands when it comes to that. IAT, regional gold, let's see, KRE, regional banks, pulling back to the 10 EMA here. So as you can see, there's a lot of names at the 10 EMAs on the weekly. Here's RSP, again, 10 EMAs on the weekly. So that's kind of what I'm getting out of this. There's a lot of names at the 10 EMA on the weekly. Could be potential dip buying areas. We shall see. I think we have FOMC coming up this week, so we'll see what they want to do with like rate cuts and whatnot. There we go. Okay. So I want to go over the heavier names of the S&P. Actually, let's just do the NASDAQ. So these guys, I created a watch list of the NASDAQ names that are heaviest weighted. So all of these names here, Tesla, Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Netflix, Meta, Costco, Algo, and NVIDIA. I made the cutoff of 2% or more of the index, and all these trade about 50%, 56% of the weight of the index. And so if the market is moving, these names are going to be what's moving it. So you can keep an eye on. I like to look at these to get a sense of which names are holding up and which names are like, might be dragging the overall market down because they have such a heavy weight. So let's look at, I organize it again, position in 5 range. You can see, take a screenshot of this or whatever. You can see RSI. We can always label that by RSI as well. But let's go over OPCO. Look on the weekly. This guy was being said to be a potential new market leader for semis and things like that. So we'll keep an eye on that, especially with that huge breakout. Actually, let me send that to one of my symbol-less earnings gap list. Tesla, this thing's been on a tear, right? Good thing I have this on my long-term hold. Google, nice move up, letting the 10 EMA catch up. Again, Google here again. I mean, it's extended in the short term, but what did it do? Did it tap all-time highs here? If not, it came pretty darn close to it. So yeah, right. Let me look at that Google there. Let me mark that up real quick. I'm not really, I don't know. Like even with these strong tech names here, even Apple setting new time highs. Like Apple's chart is absolutely gorgeous. Um, Broke on a new all-time highs, retested it, held it, consolidating here over the 10 EMA. All MAs are pointing upwards. Amazon hitting new all-time highs last week over the 10 EMA. Meta over the 10 EMA. Microsoft over the 10 EMA, holding these highs here. So, or at least these levels. I can't say highs. These are the highs up here. But holding these levels here, this is why the S&P 500 is just kind of chopping and going sideways, because all of these names look pretty decent. They're all above their 10 EMAs, and they're just grinding higher. And Costco's a little shaky at the moment, pretty whippy. And then we have NVIDIA. NVIDIA is a pretty, I forget how heavy it is, but I think it's over 5% or so. We got a lot of talk about NVIDIA not being a market leader anymore and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. This is what I read. I just look at charts, people. And so we'll see if this wants to hold. But I mean, looking at all the other names, it's hard to say this market is bearish when all of the larger weighted names are above their 10 EMAs and grinding higher. NVIDIA and Costco are the ones that are like a little choppy, and NVIDIA looks the worst out of all of them, in my opinion. So let's look at, I did the same thing for the S&P 500. The names are a little different. I'm going to organize it by position and 5 range, and we'll go over these real quick again. So we have Avgo, big gap. Tesla, again, V. So, hang on. Let me show you what I did. S&P 500, I cut it off at 1%. So all of these names here trade about 40% of the weight of the S&P 500. Okay. So V consolidating over the 10 EMA. Google over the 10 EMA. Apple, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, went over all these already. LLY, that looks like crap. Maybe, it created an equal high here. This could potentially be a higher low. This might start trying to reverse here, but we got a gap level there. I'd say that area. We got a gap down, lower lows. Didn't really make a higher high, but it made it pretty darn close to an equal high. So maybe we get a little bounce here, and this creates a higher low, and it starts trending upward. So if it does that, maybe that'll get, that could probably give the S&P a little extra boost. Just sticking that up just so it's an area instead of like NVIDIA already went over it. BRKB underneath the 50, and JPM closing below. So, all of the tech names. So, heck, let's do this. Let's go over tech real quick. Since XLK is looking pretty darn good, we can organize this by, I didn't really mess with this. I'll go by TradeIdeas score. So if we go by Apple, again, already went over it. 5, trending up to 10. Microsoft up to 10. FT&T up to 10. Avgo, big gap. CRM traveling up to 10, respecting the 20 as well. Now, traveling up to 10. Right? So we have a lot of these names respecting the 10, 20 EMAs, even though some of them are getting a little close. I honestly do not know the weight of names in XLK overall. But overall, it doesn't look, a lot of them are at their 10 and 20s. I think this week might give us a good idea of what's to come, whether we get a bounce this week or whether we get more selling. With RSP being down so much already, is that 9 days? I don't know, a lot of trading days in a row. I'd say it's prime for a little short covering bounce, maybe. Maybe a little chop sideways creates a flag, and then excuse me. and then it wants to continue on up. But I don't know. Looking at the heavier weighted AMD, he's a laggard, unfortunately. Oh, this is getting tight. This is an interesting look. Add that to this week, or focus long list maybe. That's interesting. I mean, it's underneath the 200, but it's getting real tight here, especially after a stronger push. So I don't know. Overall, I think this week would probably tell us what's to come, whether we get more selling and start maybe downtrending, or maybe we get a little bounce. I am on equity curve protection mode, especially with last week not being the best. Try not to overdo it. This will be the first year I'll actually be taxed as a trader, that I'll be positive. Try not to blow that. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Take some screenshots of names that may have caught your eyes. I scanned through there. Overall, a lot of weekly 10 EMA tags. Overall, things are still trending upwards. Maybe we get some selling. Maybe we get some sideways consolidation and then a move on up. Play the charts, manage your risk, and put in the work and learn. Later, guys. Have a good week. Stay safe.